Greetings, Northwesterners. I am Patrick Smith. Welcome to Disenthrall. Today, we have an impromptu conversation that we decided at the last minute to hit record on because I thought it might be useful for other people. Today, we have with us Joshua Hale. He is a digital marketing specialist and a voluntarist from the Northwest who approached me asking some questions about or wanting to hook up for a conversation to figure out how to start a voluntarist meetup in his area. And he's been trying to hook up with me for weeks. And as you guys know, there's been very little content on the channel recently because of my situation. But we finally hooked up, and I realized that this might be a useful conversation. So I'm hitting record for you guys. Welcome to the show, Joshua. It's good to have you.
Awesome, Patrick. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, man. So I'm basically gonna hand it over to you. You wanted to, pick my brains, as it were. So pick away for what little there may be left.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time, and I saw your Anarchapulco video on starting voluntarist meetups, and I was really impressed with all the amount of information that you were able to share in that small amount of time. And I checked out your website afterwards, and again, the information was there. So you're just freely giving all of this how-to kickstart meetups for everybody out there. And so I was really impressed with that kind of value-forward mentality. For me personally, my goal for starting a meetup is to meet like-minded individuals in my area. It's really easy to feel isolated with these views and opinions, and I know there's other people out there. It's difficult to try and find that through the normal means of social media. So I love the meetup idea because you get to put yourself out there to meet people face to face and really be able to get into some actual deep conversations instead of just surface level 140 character comments at each other.
Yeah.
So my big question was, what are some of the areas, because some of the extremes of people that you've attracted to the meetups? I want to find like-minded individuals, but I understand that, somebody somebody might come in and they say, yeah, I love drugs and I hate cops. Can I be a part of this group? And it could lead into some rocky, uncomfortable areas as we started to explore more about their philosophies. So what are some of the extreme examples that you've ran into, and how has that changed kind of how you've marketed the meetups, or has that?
What would you consider extreme? Or was that an extreme example? Love drugs, hate cops? Because that's everybody at our meetup. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. That is a joke.
Well, along those lines, like I said, I can enjoy a conversation with somebody with those views, and I could also be very standoffish because I could run into a very immature individual who's just pissed off and really doesn't know much about the non-aggression principle or freedom in itself, that they have never explored these concepts. So
sure. And man, there's so many reasons to start a meetup. There is the selfish ones of meeting like-minded people, feeling less alone because you find your tribe, you build a community around you. Then there's the activist type reasons where you, by building a community, you start to get a group of people together that can act to change the world. Simply having a group that people that are curious about the ideas can come to find out more. That is, a strong and one of the most effective forms of activism for this cause that there is. Just existing as a meetup group, publicly listed and advertised, you're going to attract commies that are there to just shit on everything. You're going to attract people, like if you name it, like Voluntarists of Dallas is the name. And so we get people that show up that are just wanting to do volunteer work, and they have no idea what voluntarism is. And they're just total normie, blue-pilled statists. And they show up and suddenly they're surrounded by anarchists or whatever. And so you get all types, and you want all types, I guess is what I'm saying. If you're doing it as a method of activism, and if you're not doing it to make the world a better place by making more voluntarists, I'm not really sure why you do it, but hey, I'm not going to tell you what you would want to do it for. I mean, it could just be completely selfish. Like you just want to meet other people, and that's fine.
One of my initial concerns is luckily my neighbor is wanting to embark on this journey with me to co-host. So there's two of us, right? And I'm writing the copy for the description of the meetup and about to put it out into the social sphere. So I'm trying to come at an angle where I'm talking to a specific type of person, but I also want to be doors open to anyone curious about the non-aggression principle, learning more about that. Meanwhile, like I said, there's just going to be two of us, so I don't want to initially be outgunned by the people that are coming to this that don't have a solid foundational philosophy. So I'm trying to figure out how to who am I talking to? I'm definitely looking forward to challenging conversations and challenging my philosophy to be able to grow from that. But I'm trying to wade into this gently.
Would it help you if I read the description that I have on Voluntary DFW?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the meetup page. So it's meetup.com/voluntarydallas for people that want to sort of follow along. Let me hide us here. Okay, it's basically what we're about. Hey all, welcome to Voluntaryist of Dallas Fort Worth. We host meetups for like-minded individuals that are friendly, frequent, and fun, so as best to create an environment where people can build long-term friendships and help create just a little slice of the voluntary world we all want to live in. Voluntarism is the belief that no one should initiate force on any other person. The Voluntarists of DFW group is made up of people who like to get together and discuss voluntarism. This can be politically, socially, personally, whatever. Our goal is to build a strong community of voluntarists in DFW. Never heard of voluntarism? Curious? Awesome. Want to debate till you turn some shade of purple? Sweet. Want to just hang out for no particular reason? Cool. We cover a wide range of topics, from market anarchy to peaceful parenting, entrepreneurship to personal freedom. It's pretty much an open discussion, so come on by. See you to our next meetup. So, and also important, and they used to be prominent, but meetup groups have tags. You tag your group with things. That way, when people are searching, they see your tags. I'm not seeing the group's tags now on the homepage. I don't know why, but you hit all the major stuff. Libertarian, voluntarism, anarchy, anarcho-capitalism. I think I still even have Free Domain Radio as one of the tags on our meetup group, because that is a huge group of voluntarists back several years ago anyway. And I don't know about these days, but yeah, so things like that is how you target it. You just kind of put it out there as, look, this is about voluntarism. We're building a community of like-minded people that want to be friends and do things. Does that help? Did that help at all?
No, it's good, and it's I like the light approach to it, because the non-aggression principle just is such a good splinter in the mind once somebody is able to accurately understand what it means and how that applies in your life. So I love it as the kind of the topic starter, because it's the golden rule. People are familiar with it and they can easily grasp that. But then as the conversation deepens, then they start to self-reflect and to look at the environment around them and be able to say or identify hey, that's not the non-aggression principle. And it just goes deeper and deeper into really exposing the system that we're in. So I like that light approach. What are some of the like extreme circumstances that you have found yourself in with the doors wide open?
Oh, I mean, you get all types. Like I said, you get people that show up to debate philosophy, and their opinion or their philosophy is a massive, wide-ranging, nigh infinite topic that encompasses everything. I embrace that all day. So like, and this is probably me personally, but, and maybe this is why I have enjoyed learning how to build communities more than others, maybe, is because I go through life just looking for good conversations. Like it's my crack. Like if I can, just like our talk here is a good conversation that's going to help people and it's fun and engaging. And so a meetup just attracts people to do that. And so every week you have fun conversations about wildly disparate topics, and I embrace that. I don't shy away from it. I'm trying to think of like some of the extremes. So we had
do you have like momentum in the group where you have your regulars that it's not one person and then a bunch of people showing up and then kind of ganging up on one person? You kind of have set the stage of that environment that newcomers can come and experience, but there's still kind of the majority view of things, right?
Well, I mean, the meetup is about voluntarism, and so if someone's, a good example is we had a guy show up that full on believed that money was evil. And advocated a society, a barter society where we got rid of money and where, doctors, services were traded for the same value as a janitor's services, let's say. The first week he came, it was fantastic conversation. We spent 3 hours debating this guy. And to answer your question, it's important as an organizer to help the group learn how to have debates with a lot of people present, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you have more than 3 people trying to debate something, it literally goes nowhere because it goes everywhere. Like every time somebody new talks, they yank it in a new direction and you don't get to finish the previous point. And then the next person talks and yanks it in another new direction. So when you have a group, you have to sort of, mentor is a bad word. You have to organize. You have to say, look, if
jump in and allow the person to complete his thought and the rebuttal kind of thing.
It's like if the new guy shows up and wants to talk about something, whoever is the most interested in talking about that should be the discussion. And only if one of the 2 people in that discussion kind of fall off or get stuck or whatever, should somebody offer to step in and pick up the conversation and continue it forward. That's the best way to do it. Now, again, you cannot micromanage. You cannot control this stuff. You can just suggest, like, hey, it's kind of hard to get anywhere when everybody's jumping in. And once you get regulars, you can have those more candid conversations, be like, hey, it kind of helps new people when we all just don't dogpile them when they show up and they're wrong about something. So the guy that was wrong about money, we didn't all dogpile him. And so what happened is we had a 3-hour conversation. A week later, he came back. We had, another hour and a half conversation on it. He still wasn't getting it. The 3rd week, he still wasn't getting it. The 4th week, the 5th week, the 6th week, he wasn't getting it. And at that point, the group was like, hey, we're kind of tired of talking about this. We're gonna talk about, voluntarism, and we're gonna talk about other stuff. And, I think he came once or twice more after that, but then he just stopped coming. And the problems kind of work themselves out. So the 2, I don't know, I don't want to say 2 primary because there's so many. They're for good conversation, no matter what the topic is. And they're for community building and friendship building. And they're
as a byproduct of connection and great communication.
and there for activism to create more voluntarists. So that we've had people show up that weren't voluntarists in the beginning, and we helped them on that journey, which is awesome, just through friendly conversation. Edge cases are relativists, consequentialists, communists, anybody that has a problem with any kind of universalizable ethics generally is difficult at any voluntarism based subject.
Can't agree on the basics or grammar.
We've had people that can't agree that we exist.
Yeah.
So it's not. And don't get me wrong, like, those people are welcome to come to the meetup because those conversations are fun the first time, maybe the second time. And like I said, it starts to work itself out. If they come 2 or 3 times and they don't convince us and we don't convince them, then usually they don't keep coming back, or they are fine talking about other things, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Contentious stuff would be a communist type thing where they're just diametrically opposed to core principles of property. And so those are usually fun in another way because they're more, contentious, like debate. It's like an entertainment night. It's like a night at, at the boxing match or whatever. They usually, they don't come back. And my answer, hopefully this is helping. It's not, we haven't really had a problem with extremists, with extreme people, I guess is what I'm saying.
Cool. You just let the ideas, have the floor and debate it out.
Yeah. Stay calm and address the ideas. And, that's not to say we haven't had people that we have blocked or banned or whatever. Very few. 2 ever, I think, in 5 years or so. And that was because I don't think they were right in the head completely, and they weren't kind of all there. And so there was, some physical safety concerns, but that's it. Like, and anytime you're in a public group, especially in a large city like DFW, you're going to get some weirdos sometimes. So
yeah. My town's definitely a lot smaller, but there's a lot of rural area and downtown, so I'm hoping to pull a good mixture.
I will say that having one other person with you is a huge leg up, because when the new person shows up that doesn't know anybody, if it was just you, it's going to be a lot more awkward feeling for them than if there's at least one other person there too, because then it's not just like a date. Then it's like, there's 3 people here. It's a meeting.
Yeah. Cool. So that definitely gets the momentum going.
Yep.
And you've been doing this for 5 years. And what got you started in the first place? How did you first come up with this idea?
I went to the Texas State Capitol building to record a video on voting. And while I was in town, I noticed that there was something called a Voluntarists of Austin meetup group. And I was like, I was very new to voluntarism at the time.
You heard the word before?
Oh, yeah. And so, but I had never met another voluntarism in real life at the time, really. So it was kind of a life-changing, mind-blowing experience. For the first time, I walked into a room and I was surrounded by 25-ish like-minded people that all understood the non-aggression principle, all understood the philosophy and the foundations of most of this. And I think it was just like, it was like freeing, and it was healing, and it was validating, and it was exhilarating. And I think, there was a nonviolent communication group there that day as well. And we spent like 6 hours discussing and debating philosophy and, first principles and ethics. And just it was life-changing for me. And then I went back to Dallas. I went home. And I was like, wow, I don't have that here. It's like it was something that you don't know is missing until you've had it, and then I had to have it again because life. You just feel you can know that you're right about something, but if you're the only one that knows it, you are going to feel alienated. You're going to feel alone, and if that goes on long enough, you're going to feel a little crazy. And going to that meetup group fixed all of that, healed all of that. And so I just knew I had to have that here in Dallas, basically. And so
Awesome.
The people that ran the Austin group kind of gave me some early pointers, and I kind of ran with it from there for the Dallas group. So.
Well, sweet. Well, you did an excellent job at Narcopoco. I know you were rushing through your material, but you got a lot of great points and a framework. And that's what gave me the confidence to get this going here in my town. And thanks again for helping me kind of fill in the terrain as I about ready to put this thing out live and just sit back and see who walks through the doors.
Yeah, man. There's a lot that I didn't get into that meeting. And so if you have any questions or any concerns or whatever, we can certainly talk about it.
I bet after my first meeting or two, I'll probably have a lot more questions.
Do you have anybody that you know outside of your friend that's going to show up? Because the first thing I would tell you is that you should expect it to take 6 months before you get, a couple
Traction.
people, depending on your town size. Like in Dallas, Fort Worth, it was 3 months before one person showed up. And,
Wow.
And it's a slow starting thing. It's very slow starting. Now, I could have done better marketing early on. I could have advertised it more on Facebook and all this stuff. I'm sure you're going to be able to do that a lot better than I did to hopefully kick it started faster. I would just caution you to not get discouraged. Like I would suggest that you commit to, showing up every time for at least a year before you assess the effectiveness of what you've been doing. Like it takes time.
Yeah.
I
Great advice.
don't know what size town you're in.
I got a lot of projects going on, and this is what popped up last week. And I appreciate the honesty of what level of commitment to expect going into this, because it is deep connection and conversation is something that I crave. To move towards mutual aid group is something that is important to me. So I know that this would be able to help out with those larger goals, and then to just sharpen my philosophy is something that I'm ready for.
And something else I don't know if I really mentioned, I think I maybe touched on it briefly in that talk, was I'm trying to fill in the details that I didn't get into that 30 minutes. I think I mentioned that your group kind of takes on its own personality, and it goes in a direction that whatever direction it goes in, it's not going to be the one you predicted. I guarantee you. And so I would caution you for having expectations of getting a specific thing out of it. Like, what did you say? It was it wasn't prepare. It wasn't prepping. What was it? You just said
A mutual aid group.
Mutual aid. Yeah. So it's great to have that as kind of a side goal. And when people show up and you start to develop regulars, you're probably going to find people that are also interested in that. But you're also going to have a lot of people that are not interested in that at all. And I'm not saying you're not, I'm just saying you got to be ready and perfectly okay with people not caring about what you want to personally get out of it. We have people that are interested in homesteading and farming, and we have people that are totally not interested in that at all. And we have people that are, IT people, and it's just, there's all types. And, we've got the gun nuts. We've got, the disaster preparedness security type. What?
Peaceful parents.
Peaceful. Yeah, absolutely. Peaceful parents. And so everybody's kind of interested in their own thing, and connections are made where they're made. And, don't try and make the group about anything other than voluntarism, I guess is the point of what I was trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. I can understand the value of that, because you don't want to put your own expectations on this organic creation that starts having its own mind of its own to just kind of be along for the ride.
And know your audience. Like, these are voluntarists. They're going to be very independent. They're going to be independent thinkers. And so you got to be like the most hands-off organizer ever.
Right.
You know, only step in the very extreme circumstances and step into the smallest possible degree you can. And generally it works out fine because people are voluntarists. They're familiar with the ethics and how to interact in a voluntary way.
One last question, like, how do you kickstart the night? Do you throw a topic out there, or does something just bubble up and get things going?
Early on, and by early on, I mean like the first 2.5 years of the meetup, I had a topic ready every week. Anytime most of the people showing up are strangers, or strangers, like not very well acquainted. Maybe they've met a couple times, 3 times, whatever. Kicking off the conversation is awkward. So it helps to have a topic. And it doesn't have to be an enforced thing like, today we're going to discuss this topic that I've decided on. It can be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And it just kicks it off. And then the rest of the evening is filled with wonderful conversation about whatever. So in the beginning, it helps to have a list in your head of things to throw out. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. That's super valuable. All right.
Once you build up regulars, then they're your friends. By regulars, that just means your friends. They're going to show up and you're going to be like, hey dude, how was your week? And they're going to tell you about it's like, it's like friends.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's plenty to explore in the society that we live in to topics. Yeah,
like they just recently reassessed the property values of like everyone we know in the Metroplex, and everybody's property taxes our property valuations are shooting up by like $15,000, $30,000 or whatever. And so a couple people did some research and found out how to contest that stuff and shared it with it's just like things evolve and the group helps each other. It's everything you've ever dreamed of, I promise.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, I would love to have a follow-up once I get things going, and even if it's just a 3-month checkup and saying no one showed up yet, it'd be great to have another discussion.
Absolutely. Please keep me up to date with how it's going. There's, I think, 4 other meetups that have started since the Anarchapulco video, and most of them are keeping me up to date with how it's going. And it's going much better for them, much faster than it did for me. So it's very promising to get this feedback, and I hope you'll give it to me. And if you're ever in Dallas, please look us up and come hang out.
Sweet. I definitely will. And I'm looking forward to sharing this video with my fellow autonomy class members. They knew that I was having a meeting with you, and they were really excited to learn more about this, on how to spark this interest in their own area.
Tell me about this autonomy class.
So it's a 15-week class on how to create economic self-reliance. It goes deep into digital marketing, and when you have an idea, we're now living in this amazing time where getting your idea online can create revenue. So it's all about supporting how to do that, how to go about building a website, how to go about conducting interviews, reaching out to people, not being afraid, learning about sales, and that every business must know how to conduct sales. Otherwise, they're not a business. And we're really not taught that in school or in society. We're kind of, that topic's really shunned. So that's something I've really gained value from this course. But really, it's just a deschooling education, and then how to become self-reliant, autonomous.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like your group will enjoy a voluntarist meetup. You should, invite them out.
I will. I luckily live with a couple students here in the area, and that's who I'm going to be kickstarting my meetup with. But I know that just being able to share this video with them, it's going to show this is how you do it. Here's the roadmap. All you got to do is put yourself out there.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. It was great talking with you. I will just kind of shout out to anyone watching this video. if you're wanting to start your own meetup, I think we have, I should have been prepared with this. It's disenthrall.me. Do you have that URL for? We had a URL for making meetups. Build your tribe. That's it. disenthrall.me/tribe. You can get the bullet point list that I talk about at the Anarchapulco speech. You can also look on this channel for the talk I gave at Anarchapulco on creating your own voluntarist meetup group where you live. It is totally possible for just about everyone, except unless you're living like in the middle of nowhere. Reach out to me if you need help. Reach out to me if you have questions. Helping other people do this across the world is a big part of my activism. And so I am here for you. Consider me a resource for you. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being on the show. And I look forward to talking with you more.
Thanks, Patrick. Talk to you again.